This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Oh, yes. Yes, your ears are not deceiving you. Yes, I'm here, and just squeezing in a quick mailbag show in between the insanity of what's going on. Good stuff. My daughter was born Sunday night in a just insane quick time frame. For those that are interested, the very, very abbreviated quick version of this is my wife went into labor at 8:30, I'd say 8:30 Sunday night. She just all of a sudden was just feeling off, and we had a scheduled C-section on Wednesday, but Sunday night she decided, that is being my daughter, decided to have other plans, and she went into labor at 8:30 at night. We got to the hospital at 9:15. We had the baby at 10:07. So let's just put that into perspective, where you hear stories about women pushing and they're in labor for like days. Yeah. It was a matter of less than an hour since we got to the hospital. And that, again, that's the quick version. I don't have a whole lot of time here. Again, at any moment I could be summoned to help with the baby who is actually sleeping and our other child is sleeping. So I figured, hey, let's do this. Let's do this quick. So I apologize if this is not the normal length. I've been keeping up with wrestling to the best of my ability, and I'm not going to be back on a regular basis. I'm just kind of subbing in for my own show, and I'm just making sure that the mailbag gets done, because I know you guys send in questions, and I want to interact with you guys as much as possible. But my official return date is yet to be determined on a full-time basis. So I've been temporarily let go. I'm basically hiring myself as a consultant to fill in until the real Matt returns. So I'm getting way behind this. All right. Let's get to it though, guys. Let's get to our mailbag show. And first comes to us from, this is of course, Randy Delmonico, who is starting off the show, patron. And you guys can join him on patreon.com and get yourself a priority placement in the show. And Randy writes in and says, to whoever's doing the mailbag, it's Randy the patron. Well, Randy, surprise, I'm actually doing this. First, congrats, Matt. Enjoy the wonders of being a father again. Thank you. Now, Bray Wyatt released. Man, oh man, does it get any worse than this? I mean, I heard he asked for his release because he is still in bad shape. Who knows if that's true? I really don't know what WWE is doing. You know, you're just feeding AEW, and that's not good. Man, okay, well, first, yes, it was shocking, and we don't know the underlying reasons other than what they've told us, which is it's all money. I think there's more. He still may have been in a bad spot mentally. Perhaps they felt the Fiend had run its course and gone to the absolute extreme. Hell, he lit somebody on fire, right? Or he was lit on fire. I don't know how much more extreme you could get. And maybe they said, I'm not sure where we can go with this. They don't have the creative, whatever. So I don't know, but I think there's more to it. And as far as feeding AEW, you know, that is certainly possible that AEW is going to pick them up. I think it's likely, but eventually AEW can't just pick up everything WWE spits out and take their regurgitated talent. Not all of them are going to be winners. Not all of them are going to get TV time. There's only so many slots. They only have so much money. It feels like they're torching through cash, like they're hemorrhaging cash for stars, you know, that leave WWE. They just pick them up sometimes as a knee-jerk reaction. In this case, though, I think Bray Wyatt is not a knee-jerk, unnecessary pickup. I think he would be an excellent addition to AEW as a main event player, and not as the Fiend. You can't play that. You can't play Bray Wyatt, of course. You have to kind of feel it out, see what he wants to do, but his no-compete clause ends, I think, November 7th, something like that. So, does that mean he's going to be in AEW? I think it's a very strong chance. And perhaps WWE was alluding to this during that quarterly investors call Vince had last week, a week before, whatever it was. I'm losing track of time now. And he said that perhaps we can help AEW out with getting more talent, meaning there are more layoffs coming. Probably what he was alluding to was this. So perhaps WWE just feels arrogant enough to believe they've gotten everything out of the talent they're releasing. And if AEW picks them up, they're just getting our leftovers. That's a dangerous game to play. A dangerous game to play that you're giving another company who's a competitor of yours. Now, whether you want to argue what level of a competitor the AEW is another conversation, but they're in the same market. They're competitors. Why would you want to feed your competitor established stars, people who know who they are? If they show up on that rival brand, they know who they are. And they have name value, brand value automatically associated with it. AEW doesn't have to worry about building up that star, doesn't have to worry about making sure that they are a recognizable face. They already are. So it's a dangerous game to play. And WWE can continue to shove it off as, they're getting our leftovers. We know we got everything out of them. Do you? Do you? So, all right. Man, the fans were loving Rhea, which is great. She deserves it. That match with Nia was pretty good. Would love to see more. If Rhea is out of the title picture after SummerSlam, who would you see her going against next? Well, given that Rhea is a baby face now, given that she's a baby face, I mean, Charlotte's out. Becky, who's assumingly returning at SummerSlam, is out, or shortly before, shortly thereafter. Who we have? Nikki ASH, not a heel. So when you look at the heel roster, it's kind of thin. Perhaps Nia Jax. It's a possibility, as Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler seem to be on a complete split. They're in Splitsville, and you felt it with the crowd this past Monday night, with the crowd just begging Shayna Baszler to knock out Nia Jax. So I think that's a formidable opponent. Where is Randy Orton now? Come on. I mean, I know he needs a break, but we need RK Bro. Yes, I'm with you, man. We need it. Back like now. Do you think he comes back and turns on Riddle or no? No, not initially. Because the fans have not gotten the full version of that tag team yet. There's a lot more juice to squeeze out of that one. They just were starting to get traction, and Randy left for like 6 weeks, however long it's been now. They have not gotten everything out of that. They're going to get everything out of that before they turn Randy. So that's my guess. So heard that Adam Cole's contract is up soon. Do you think they'll sign him or let him go to AEW with Britt? Honestly, I think they need to resign him. Stupid to let him go, or re-sign him, not resign him. Re-sign him. It's stupid to let him go. Definitely can use him. Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks, Randy. Well, thank you, Randy. And they would be kind of foolish to let him go. I think he's a hell of a talent. I don't think realized his full potential, that given that he never really got a run on the main roster. I know that he was part of that NXT invasion, if you will, a couple of years ago before Survivor Series, but that's really all he got on the main stage. AEW would be, WWE would be absolutely foolish to let him go. They are just stacking their opponent's roster. And if they truly don't look at them as competition, well, they may not be true competition right now, but they're a competitor based on a market definition that they are in the same genre of entertainment. They're competing. Whether they want to say they're an actual competitor or not is another thing, but by definition they are. And when you feed your competitor enough talent, eventually some of those talents may find what WWE didn't. So it would be, I think, a big mistake for WWE, but to AEW's benefit. So AEW is probably counting the days. So thank you, Randy, so much. Let's get to our regular mailbag. And this comes to us, actually, it was sent to us the day after our last one. So this is from Joe Owen, sent on July 29th. So again, about 6 days ago. Hi, Matt. Was just listening to the Raw review, and your co-host mentioned that Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona, and how he's not managed to get over himself, or get himself over. Much different. If you haven't already, I would urge you to watch the main event of GCW Homecoming event, where he main evented a death match against Nick Gage. Sorry, guys. I'm dyslexic with lack of sleep. Who is like a god to the GCW fans. and has just wrestled Jericho on last night's AEW show. What was incredible about this match was the crowd's response to Matt being victorious over Nick Cage, and the fans pelted him with bottles and drinks and anything they had at hand. It was like the Hulk Hogan turn, but turned up, which is unheard of. And I haven't seen anything like it in wrestling like this in a long time. I know deathmatch wrestling is not everyone's cup of tea, but it really stood out to me as the connection to a wrestler, Nick Gage. I don't know why I call him Nick Cage, like Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat or something. I don't know why. Nick Gage. And the heat towards his opponent, Matt Cardona, that was shown in this match was nothing like I've seen in years. The reaction has been heavily praised on other podcasts, as it shows that real emotions and connections can still be made when booked correctly. And with AEW doing cross promotions, putting eyes on all wrestling companies not called WWE, and with the GCW main star being on Dynamite this past Wednesday, there is an argument to be made that Zack Ryder could be on his way to being more over in the wrestling world than he's ever been. I seriously urge you to watch that reaction. Well, Joe, thank you for the email, and at your request, I did. And I would play it on this show, except for the profanity is really, really rough. As a PG show, I can't play it. Otherwise, I would have, and you guys could listen along. Because the announcers actually say, F this you know what, right? This is effing disgusting. I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but I don't mean that to disrespect your reaction and the reaction that you were talking about, because that reaction is real. And anybody that does want to watch that, just search for let's see the specific one I saw, because a lot of them are, like you get rickrolled, as they say. GCW Homecoming, Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage, full match, and the person who had this on their channel was the Silent Devil. That's the name of his channel. So that's the one I looked at, and I hear what you're saying, Joe. That reaction is rare in today's world of wrestling. Very rare. It is not something you see. It is not something that comes along very often, but WWE and their fans have a certain expectation of WWE, right? And also the fans know that you can't get away with that kind of stuff in 2021 in an arena with, the security force they have. They're on live television. It's a much more professional presentation, and I don't mean that that's better. It just means it's just a different presentation. So you would never see that in WWE, but that doesn't mean just because they don't throw crap in the ring that they don't have an emotional connection if a storyline's really good. I know what you mean with the Bash at the Beach in '96, and Hogan turns heel. Of course, a very infamous heel turn. Even if you're a WWF fan at the time, you knew about it, you heard about it. One of the biggest moments in wrestling, one of the most successful heel turns of all time. But I know what you mean, Joe, and that connection with fans is so important, and it's gotten lost for really fear of losing your job and writing for Vince rather than writing for the fans. So, and I think a lack of actually being a wrestling fan. A lot of these creative people that come into WWE may have prior experience with television writing, drama. They may have maybe even prior movie writing experience, like screenplay. But the thing is, if you're not a wrestling fan, it's a different genre. It's not going and writing the next season of Dexter, which I'm really looking forward to, by the way. It's not going and writing for the Game of Thrones, really good series. I'm like naming all the things I like, but it's not that. Wrestling is its own animal, and if you're not a fan, you're not going to get it. You can't just cookie cutter, your what may have worked in another genre into wrestling, because if you're not a fan, you're not going to get it. You really aren't. So thank you, Joe, for that email and for making me watch that clip. Kind of cool, I got to say. So sorry it took us 6 days, but it was just bad timing with the email being sent on a Thursday. So that actually may do it with the emails, guys. By the way, continue to send your emails to us, because one way or the other, we'll get a mailbag show out there. I don't know who will do it, how I'll do it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're a patron, of course, just message me. And you can also call us, which I think that is where we are going to go now. But let's see, that call-in number, by the way, That call-in number is 518-952-0247. So that's our that's our call-in number. But right now, let's get to Mr. DJ Kuzmo and see what he has to say this week.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is none other than DJ Kuzmo, back at it again on your Mailbag show. I'm recording live on a Tuesday evening, and all I gotta say is congratulations to the newest member of the WWE Podcast family, none other than Hannah, weighing in at 9 pounds, 9 ounces, and the future WWE Women's Champion of SmackDown. That's right, SmackDown. No offense to Raw, but SmackDown, that is, Hannah. So congratulations to Matt. Congratulations to you and your wife. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope the baby's doing well as we slowly get you back to the podcast, because, man, we miss you, man. But I know that the team is holding you down, and we are moving on. So I want to talk about some wrestling. First and foremost, the sad news that we heard. The heartbreaking news that Bray Wyatt has been released. Out of all of the names that we have heard for the past couple weeks and months, Bray Wyatt? Are you kidding me? Bray freaking Wyatt? Of all the people that got released, man, this really hit me, man. And it really goes to show that nobody is safe. Nobody is safe in the WWE. Nobody is safe from getting released. And I don't know who could be next. I don't know who else could be next to get released. And I just wish Bray Wyatt all the best to him and his family. You know, this guy was the founding father of the Wyatt family. We no longer have Eric Rowan. We no longer have Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper. We no longer have Braun Strowman. And now we don't have Bray Wyatt, the cult leader, the Fiend, whatever you want to call him. You know, I wasn't a fan of the whole supernatural bit, but I grown to enjoy his storytelling and his creativity. And there's a lot that Bray Wyatt has to offer for the wrestling industry. So wherever he goes, a lot of people are assuming that he may go to AEW. A lot of people are assuming he may go, reunite with Braun Strowman, but we don't know. So all I got to say is all the best to Bray Wyatt and his family, JoJo, and his kids. All the best to them. And it sucks to have to be released, especially at this time, It wasn't even around WrestleMania week, just out of the blue, just a couple of weeks before SummerSlam, because we were expecting that eventually Bray Wyatt, a.k.a. The Fiend, a.k.a. the Coke leader, was going to somehow return, and I hope he's doing good mentally, because I know he's probably still grieving from the loss of Brody Lee, but man, it sucks, man, it sucks. And to hear the fans chant, "We want Wyatt, we want Wyatt," I am so 100% with you all. WWE definitely dropped the ball on this one. And just going forward, I also want to talk about what's going on SmackDown and Finn Balor getting his opportunity scrubbed by John Cena. And I want to see what's going to happen next. I want to see what I want to see what Finn Balor has to say in terms of getting his opportunity scrubbed by John Cena. And I just want to see in terms of how the booking is going to be, if they probably do a triple threat, or they just probably leave it Cena versus Reigns at SummerSlam, which is probably the best idea, the best booking to do. But, man, I really felt for Finn Balor, man. I really wish that he had that opportunity, to main event on the biggest stage of the SummerSlam. And, I want to see what going forward, because Finn Balor is definitely getting over with the crowd. And definitely he's going to be a future Universal Champion. I don't know when, but it's going to happen sometime in the near future. Also, I want to talk about Piper Nivens. We all call her Dewdrop, but I'm going to call her Piper Nivens. I am actually starting to watch her a little bit on Raw, and she had a match with Tamina, and she looked very impressive. I hope to see that eventually they break her away from Eva Marie, because it seems like Eva Marie is taking all of the credit, all of the pomp and circumstance, because Piper Niven is born. And unlike Nia Jax, Piper Nivens looks impressive as a wrestler. She could really go at it in the ring. And I want to see a little bit more of what they're going to do with Piper Nivens. I'm not calling it a Dewdrop because that's just a dumb name. I'm just going to leave it at Piper Nivens. So, that's all I got right now. This is just a recording because prior to this, for some reason, my phone connection was going all haywire. So I am recording this right now just so that you can hear my nice voice. And congratulations to you, Matt, and to your wife on the birth of your new daughter. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to the WWE podcast team for holding Matt down as he goes on this new phase of life with his new daughter. So, I will talk to you next time. Have a blessed week and all of the best to everybody and all the listeners. Have a blessed week.
DJ, thank you for the kind words and for everything, that you've contributed to the show over the many months. And it feels like years at this point. You've been listening for more than many months. I feel like you've been around for a long, long time, and it's much appreciated. So thank you for all that. And she is a future, I guess we'll say SmackDown Women's Champion. It is a more respected championship because I don't want to put the title on her on Raw and then people forget about her, because that's what that Raw Women's Championship does. So thank you so much for that. And our team has been doing a great job. Again, guys, this is not my official return. It's just kind of I can't believe I had a few minutes to do this, so I'm doing it. That's what sparked this. So as far as your wrestling comments go, I agree with you about Finn Balor. It would have been interesting to put him in the match, but that's our perspective. That's our perspective, because I think Vince looks at it and goes, the biggest match is John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and Finn Balor was never really a real consideration. He was used as a pawn, he was being used in the storyline to have Roman try to escape John and fight someone else at the pay-per-view. Instead, of course, he forces himself on the contract, which if anybody has any legal brains whatsoever, it is not a legally binding contract at all. I went over that on my weekend review, I believe, on Saturday, which I'm glad I did Saturday, because if I had done it Sunday, I wouldn't have been able to do it with everything going on. So the Chi-Town Chance, I'm going to give it a big old shout out to Chicago. You guys killed it. Thank you, Chicago, for the Wyatt chants, and there were some other really golden ones. Of course, CM Punk, which was woven throughout the show, which is always great to hear, and especially you're going to hear those ramp up more as we get closer to a potential debut date for CM Punk in AEW. So that'll be awesome. Piper Niven, yeah, look, I never disliked Piper, or as WWE calls her, Dewdrop. From the beginning, I didn't dislike her. I just disliked the name because I think it's disrespectful for a talent like her to be essentially dumbed down to this girl who is unable to speak because why? Someone tells her she can't. And being given a new name because why? She was told to. Doesn't make sense. In the ring, she's fine. I think she's a much more agile Nia Jax. And Nia Jax this week ends up injuring herself because, hey, it's better than injuring her opponent. So if she's going to injure somebody and it's just what she has to do in her match, might as well be herself. So I actually don't know, in all fairness, where the moment happened that she had that injury. Maybe the Hurricane Rana from Rhea, perhaps? Because after that, that's when I saw it. The one thing I don't like when they have this happen with WWE is they always shy away from the side of the face or the gash. And to me, I know why they do it. It's PG, but it takes away from the drama. When things like that happen, those are gifts from the wrestling gods, guys. Take them. It's, I think, a gift from the heavens. It adds drama to the match instead of just having the announcers not really acknowledge it by only acknowledging it by saying, oh, and she's wearing the scars of battle, the wounds of war, or whatever silly analogy, because they can't say the word blood. I don't know. But nonetheless, Piper Niven, Dewdrop, is a good talent, and I'd like to see a little bit more from her, as you said. I would too. So thank you so much, DJ, for all of your contributions as well. Hope you have a blessed week. And as it always is said, we'll talk to you next time, my friend.
Hey man, it's Justin from Maryland. I just wanted to give a couple of my thoughts on SmackDown. I just wanted to say that I'm really enjoying SmackDown way more than Raw. Like, the segments and the storylines are definitely getting good. First, I want to say that the whole John Cena Baron Corbin thing, man, Baron Corbin he's doing really good work. From him wearing the same shirt for almost a month now, his picture, when they show like the matches, even his picture, he has the same shirt on. It's just great. His facial expressions is great. It was kind of like weird, the whole contract signing thing with Baron Corbin coming out and attacking Finn Balor, and then it's kind of weird. You have Roman Reigns as the heel, Baron Corbin is a face, and remember that whole rivalry they had. So that was just weird. And then you had John Cena come out, and then he signed the contract. So I guess that's how they wanted to get to the match. They could have definitely did it differently, but I definitely like that. I'm definitely loving Roman Reigns' facial expression. Do you notice, like, his look of disgust whenever he's in the ring with somebody? Like, when John Cena came in the ring and was about to sign the contract, like, his face was just like, Roman Reigns just wants to destroy John Cena because he just like, man, I don't want to fight you. But SmackDown was just great. I love the whole Rollins and Edge segment. Rollins attacked Edge. I love that. I like seeing the aggressive side of Rollins. And he keeps mentioning the Universal title, so they're definitely going to have him and Roman go at it. But when he loses, he should just go to Raw. I think he should go to Raw at some point and get that WWE title back. What do you think about that? But my time is up, so thanks, man, and I'll talk to you when you can. Hey, man, it's Justin from Maryland again. Man, I just wanted to comment on the whole Bray Wyatt getting released situation, man. It's crazy because I'm sitting there at work and I see a picture of him posted, I guess it was earlier today, and man, he looked in good shape. Man, it had me thinking like, man, he's about to return. I saw something about he was about to return soon, like in like a week or two. And then I'm driving, I look at my phone, and this guy gets released. Like, man, it's just really crazy. Like, I really don't know what WWE's thinking. I seen something about budget cuts, but man, there are so many other superstars that are on the roster that you don't use, that you can release instead of Bray Wyatt, someone that was completely over as The Fiend. Yeah, you did mess up his booking, but man, people love the guy, and people was really waiting for him to come back. Man, like, they really had so many opportunities they missed with him and The Undertaker. Yeah, he faced him at WrestleMania and lost, but man, they really just dropped the ball with that character, man. And The Fiend was probably top 5 my favorite characters or superstars right now. So man, it's just crazy, man. You really don't know who's next. Like, Braun Strowman was just in the main event, competing for a world title, got released. Man, you got, Aleister Black just came back a week and then got released, man. You just don't really know, man. But it's not really surprising anymore. I'm not going to say I'm losing interest in WWE, but they're just really disappointing me with these decisions that they're making, man. So my time's almost up, man. Just wanted to get that out, man. That really disappointed me, but thanks.
Hey, Justin. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for contributing this week. First of all, the Bray Wyatt thing, I've pretty much said my piece on it, but I will say it doesn't mean Bray Wyatt can't return. Look what they did most recently with Zelina Vega. Rumors of Braun Strowman coming back. Just because they release somebody doesn't mean they're gone forever, and it may mean they'll be back sooner than later. So those of us that are Bray Wyatt fans can hold out hope that perhaps perhaps he makes a WWE return. I haven't heard anything. This is not me trying to start rumors. It's just a possibility that people oftentimes, including myself, forget. You hear somebody about being released, and then, again, this is more of an exception to the rule than the rule, but it can happen. You've seen instances of it where they come back in short order. So that's what I think. Bray Wyatt, again, he was an overkill. The Fiend was over. The booking was bad, particularly at WrestleMania. His loss to Goldberg and so forth. I mean, we could go down the list, but the character was over. He was selling a lot of merch. I have my suspicions, but as far as SmackDown being more enjoyable, yeah, I almost don't want a draft this year. Like, can we not have a draft so they don't screw up SmackDown? Because I like things as they are. It's so true. I mean, SmackDown it's beating a dead horse at this point. Everyone knows that SmackDown is a better booked show. Of course, less time helps that, but everyone just seems to be fitting their role very well over there on SmackDown, and I'm with you. I'm glad you also brought up the point about Baron Corbin, because I gave him praise this week too, and oftentimes I think it goes unnoticed by fans who just kind of knee-jerk reaction to Baron Corbin and say, oh, it's Corbin. Can he get, he's so boring. I think this is the best character transformation he's gone through. As you said, the same shirt, the same ketchup stained shirt, asking people for money, saying how down he is on his luck, and then getting angry with John Cena this week for not giving him enough money. It's great. It's great. And, I shouldn't say great. Great is an overused phrase, and it shouldn't be just given out so much in wrestling. It's a much improved version of Baron Corbin, from King Corbin to the Constable Corbin and all that stuff. From the Lone Wolf to Constable Corbin to King Corbin to, he's gone through many iterations, this one being the best, I got to say, because it's just so ungrateful for the things he has and just trying to get everyone to pity him. And then when someone gives him something, it's never enough. It's a good character. And it clearly tells me they are going heel and staying heel. So as far as Raw, with Rollins going to Raw, I think that's a very strong possibility at the draft or the shakeup or whatever the hell they call it this year. So yes, totally agree. This shakeup's going to be, again, presumably in September, is going to be a lot of fun. All right, Justin, thank you as always for your contributions, and let's keep the train going.
It's Kyle from Baltimore. I wanted to talk about the situation with Sasha and Bianca that happened last night on SmackDown. I thought that was a great beatdown, and the best part of the entire show was that entire segment was Sasha, Bianca, and her finally turning heel and make everybody happy now, and she's not going to be a good guy anymore. But but looking forward to SummerSlam, I could see Sasha winning the championship. And at this point, Bianca has been a good champion. I enjoy Bianca, but Sasha is the one that, she's personally my favorite. So I can see her winning the championship. Bianca is a great champion because she beat Sasha. She could, but I don't think Sasha should be beaten for a second time. I don't think, but I think she's going to win the title at SummerSlam. But that's why I thought the build for this match is going to be fun to see, and looking forward to seeing the entire feud. But that was it. This will call. Bye.
Hey, Kyle. So great point, about Sasha and Bianca. As far as, Sasha turning heel made me happy, made a lot of fans happy. I think Mercedes, the actual person behind Sasha Banks, there's a lot of Sasha Banks in Mercedes. A lot. How do I know this? Go watch Broken Skull Sessions with Stone Cold. She came across extremely arrogant, and a lot of Sasha in who she is. I mean, she's not in character on the show. She presumably is herself. And at first I thought she was trying to drive a little of her character in there, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, perhaps this is really who she is. And of course it's turned up to 11 on TV, but there's that kind of arrogance and the way she laughs and everything about her is driven into Sasha Banks, which is why I think it's not a diss on her per se. It's actually a compliment because it makes her character work so well, but it also makes her a great heel because she's just I mean, full of herself, it seems like, anyway, unless she was working us also on Austin's show. But that said, I agree that this is a program I'm looking forward to, and Sasha could indeed capture the championship at SummerSlam against Bianca. It's very possible. And if that happens, could I see Becky Lynch coming back and taking down Sasha Banks? I could see that happening because everyone's assuming she's going back to Raw, but no one's considered the fact she could show up on SmackDown. But the problem with that is you have an emerging star in Bianca Belair. You don't want to stifle that or take the spotlight away from Bianca to a returning megastar like Becky Lynch. So I think that because of that, you want you want Becky and Bianca on separate brands right now, unless they're planning on turning Bianca heel, which I don't think is the case. Because again, if you put Becky on the same spot on the same show as Bianca right now, I think it would hurt Bianca. I think. I mean, you can make a case for it. You could say, well, maybe they'll team up and they'll be a great tag team or just temporary alliance. That, is a possibility. And then you have Becky give a little bit more of the quote rub to Bianca. So there's a case, but I think the case is stronger for her to be on Monday Night Raw at this point with the current roster. So, all right. Well, thanks, Kyle. And I think this is our final one of the night. I know typically these shows run a little long, but it was quieter this weekend. So let's take a listen to, I believe, this is Brad from Pennsylvania.
Yo, Matt, it's Brad from Pennsylvania. I want to start off with a big congratulations to you and your wife on the birth of your new child. I wasn't paying attention. I don't know if you had a son or a daughter, so I'll just congratulate you on the birth of your child. Congratulations to you and your wife on that. That's awesome. I have 2 kids myself. It's the best to have. Once they have their sibling, you'll see, like, it's great. But, the real reason I called is to give my peace of mind on what's going on in the WWE. And I honestly think that Vince might possibly be bored and he would like a little competition from AEW. And I do watch AEW, not as religiously as I watch WWE. And the reason being is because I share a lot of the same views as Jim Cornette on AEW wrestling. I mean, I'm not as negative on it as he is, but all of the points that he raises are very, very valid. I mean, their storytelling in ring is absolutely horrible. You never know who the heel or the face is. There's stuff like, you can tell that the Young Bucks book their own matches, just the way they make themselves look. I would never believe that either of the Young Bucks could ever beat somebody up in real life, but whatever. That's AEW. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Raw and some of the releases and how horrible I actually think that is, that you could keep somebody around like The Miz who's in a wheelchair with a drip stick or whatever you want to call it, and you're going to release The Fiend. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Or the fact that you have Eva Marie running around whatever she's supposed to be or do, and no pun intended, but do drop. I mean, I'm not really too impressed with her in-ring ability. I mean, watching her and Tamina last night was actually painful. And I'm not talking about looks-wise, because I'm like you. I'm not here to see a pretty girl. Otherwise, I'd be infatuated with watching Eva Marie wrestle, and I'm not, because I'm not here to see that. I'm here to see wrestling. And that Doudrop versus Tamina match last night was absolutely horrible. Nikki ASH versus Charlotte as a main event on Raw, not going to get the ratings up. That's why I'm saying I think Vince is actually bored, and he's giving AEW these wrestlers. He's like, here, let them spend some of their money on the guys that I don't want to spend money on no more. We need some competition. And then you'll see some good storytelling starting to come from AEW also, because they'll have better wrestlers there. They need to step up their game. I know a lot of their fanboys love them. You can't say anything wrong about AEW on Twitter without getting attacked. I don't care. AEW right now, their product sucks. Do they have talented people? Yes, they absolutely do. They probably have just as many talented wrestlers as WWE, but their product sucks. But I'm not here for that, Matt. I'm just here to tell you I didn't like Raw last night. I know my 3 minutes is...
Hey, Brad, you got cut off there. You just hit that 3-minute mark. And you probably realized that as you were talking, it kind of cuts you off. But yeah, so I hear you. And, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watch AEW on a regular basis. I don't. And that's, just shame on me. I really wish I had the time to, because I do respect the product. I respect the industry as a whole. And I don't ever want any of those companies to try to put the other one out of business. The goal should just be to, compete in ratings, which forces you to put the best product on TV, which really makes the fans win no matter what you do. And I'm a big proponent of supporting all brands of wrestling, really am. And, so I can't speak to AEW specifically. I can't. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I can. I'll take your word for it that the in-ring, in terms of who's being a heel and who's a babyface, you'd never know. And that's a shame if that's the case, because that's how a lot of stories are told, even if they're not told on the microphone, because in-ring is super important, because that's the time where you don't need to have a microphone. You can create your own, quote, script inside of the squared circle. So I don't know. That's the case. That's a little bit disappointing, I got to say. But yeah, the dripstick stuff, I mean, you heard Michael Ritter cover Monday Night Raw. He did a good job of it, and I'm not going to step on his toes, so I'll just say the dripstick stuff is just insanity. It's childish. I don't think my 3-year-old son, well, no, he'd probably enjoy it, but I mean, once you get past kindergarten, it's not so funny anymore. It's so childish, and I don't know who the demographic they're trying to reach with this stuff. I really don't, but yeah. So Brad, I hear you, I feel you, and thanks for the congrats. It's a baby girl, and yeah, I've got 2 now, and you have 2 as well, as from what you said, and I'm looking forward to them. When she's older, she'll be able to interact with my son, who's 3, at a more intelligent level. I mean, right now it's kind of hard because she was, a couple days old, and it's, she doesn't do anything, and she's not going to do anything for quite some time. But, we'll get there. And hope all is well with you and the family. And everybody, thank you for contributing this week. It is a much shorter show, but at least we got one in, and you got to hear me for whatever that's worth. And it's hard to not to chime in on Raw and going in depth, but I'm leaving that to my great team. I know the show is in good hands. This is not my official return. It's just a kind of I snuck in. I tiptoed in my office while things were quiet, and I'm doing this. So I can't stay away too long. But guys, keep up with me on Twitter, by the way, at wrestling_audio. That's where you'll get my most up-to-date feelings, whatever, on the product, my reaction. Also on Instagram at WWE_podcast. And consider joining us on Apple. If you want an ad-free experience, click the subscribe button on Apple. You can do that now. You become a subscriber, and it's free for 3 days. And then $2.99 a month after that, and you get all of our shows ad-free. You don't have to go to a separate app. It's right in the Apple Podcasts app. But if you do want to go on Patreon, you can do that as well. Patreon.com/WWE Podcast. And yes, we do have YouTube. It's youtube.com/the WWE Podcast. So enough plugs. I had fun tonight, guys. I hope you did too. And as always, I'll talk to you next time.